everybody. Merry Lymphmas. Welcome to the December Lymphedema Patient Roundtable hosted by Lympha Press. My name is Alexa. I am the Marketing Communications Associate here at Lympha Press. I'm also a primary lymphedema patient, and I'm joined here tonight by our wonderful panel of fellow patients and therapists. So as you're all logging on, let us know in the chat who you are, where you're tuning in from, and I'm going to introduce our lovely Lymphy ladies today. So we've got Angela Jones, lymphedema patient and health coach. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
We've got Catherine Rosenberg. She's a secondary lymphedema patient advocate and math teacher. So as I say every time, any math questions, please send Catherine's way. And then we've got Karen Ashforth, fibrosis extraordinaire. She's a certified lymphedema therapist, and we just love her to death. And we're so glad she's here tonight in her festive, sassy Santa hat. Hey, Karen. All right, and we've got some of our usuals in the chat. I see Layla from South Jersey. We've got Diane from Victoria, Canada, and Bill Dowd from Sarasota, Florida. Hey, guys, glad you're with us tonight. We like to remind everyone to please pop any questions in the Q&A box down at the bar at the bottom. We'll get to those, the Q&A portion about 30 minutes into the evening. And we cannot and will not give you personalized medical advice. You don't want our medical advice. We're patients, with the exception of Karen, who's not your therapist, but we'll try and answer best we can from our experiences. So I'm going to stop flapping my mouth here and get to our lovely panel. Hey, everybody in the chat. So it's the holidays. They've come really fast all of a sudden. I can't believe it. Holidays are a really exciting time, but it can also be a difficult time in terms of keeping to our lymphedema management routines. And also emotionally and mentally, holidays can sometimes be tough for people. So I'd love to pose to the chat here and to the panel, what are some ways that you manage your lymphedema during the hubbub of the holidays? Anybody want to jump in on that? Or I could keep rambling. Angela, how do you manage your lymphedema during the holiday season?
Honestly, the same as every day. I don't try to do anything special. I travel, so that causes some problem. I usually travel during the Christmas season, and that does cause some problems. But in terms of, eating and movement, I tend to do the same thing that I do every day.
Yeah.
I don't look at trying to create a new protocol for that time. It's such a short period of time. So I just do what I do. And I still do the pumping. I do the walking, the movement, the massages, and the water.
You do love the water.
Yeah, I love drinking. I drink about a gallon of water a day. So
Oh, good.
I try to stay hydrated too. So I do the same thing that I do every day.
I like to sometimes use my lymphedema as an excuse to not have to help with the cleanup after holiday dinners and things. Like, I gotta elevate. My legs kind of swollen after eating all of that. I gotta put my feet up. Like, I'd love to help, but and sometimes I kind
I
of
use
use it.
lymphedema everything for that one. So
Exactly. What about Karen or Catherine? Do you have any wise tips for holiday management?
Well, I do the same thing that Alexa does, and I like to use the excuse of I need to go elevate my leg and go take a nap. So I'm not cleaning up anything from the Christmas tree. I'm not cleaning up anything from the dinner table. I helped set it up. You guys can put it away.
And it works.
It does, because that's when pumping time comes along. You pull out the Christmas pump and you turn on the Christmas movie and you pump away.
Oh, I love that. What's your favorite Christmas movie to watch while you're pumping?
I'd actually have to say it is The Grinch.
The original Grinch or the Jim Carrey Grinch?
The original.
Oh, good call. Good call.
Yes, The Grinch is my favorite. We've had a lot of school days this week. We do the 12 days of Christmas at school. So I've gotten to dress up as the Grinch a couple times. So I've had a lot of fun. So I pulled out my green compression stocking where I was wearing one of my green Grinch shirts. So it actually matched
awesome.
pretty awesomely.
I love that. Robert in the chat said, we all have to watch our sodium consumption, especially during the holidays. And that's so true. It's so easy to kind of get in that holiday mindset of like, well, this doesn't really matter. You know, it's the holidays, but your leg will still, or your arm or whatever that's affected will still feel the effects. So that's a good reminder.
And there's a lot of extra sugar around too. So just being prepared and, planning accordingly. If you're going to have some holiday treats, make sure that you plan ahead and make time to take care of yourself afterwards if you inflate, and, plan some extra MLD sessions or extra pump sessions. It's hard to abstain from everything. But if you can take care of yourself, that's the best.
Fenton says his daughter, who's now 28, when she was little, she looked just like Cindy Lou Who. That's sweet. Now, what about the mental aspects of the holidays? Because lymphedema already is kind of an isolating condition. Sometimes it can be really tough. And Amanda, who isn't with us tonight, but she had a really good social media post recently about the loss of control we can feel sometimes when we're living with lymphedema, loss of control over our bodies or perhaps over our time, because it takes a lot of time to manage our lymphedema sometimes. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or any insights to share on how maybe you manage those aspects of lymphedema that we don't always talk about, which is the mental and emotional? I mean, I know we talk about it here a lot, but for people tuning in, maybe what are some strategies for dealing with that?
One of the best ways of dealing with being down is to get some exercise, and preferably outdoors, but this time of year, you never know what the weather's like. But if you can team up with a buddy and, make it a fun thing, then that can lift your spirits, because there's just so much evidence behind the benefits of exercise, not only for lymphedema, but for our moods as well.
Yeah, I recently joined a bar studio. It's BARRE, not BAR. And it's mostly other ladies who do it. And I've been going for a few months, but it's been really nice starting to make those friendships in the classes and kind of having that camaraderie. Because even though I don't really know that we're not pals, we don't hang out, but it does encourage me, and I look forward to class knowing that there's, this one woman or this other one who I've kind of struck a little friendly in-class relationship with. It helps motivate me to go and feel good about being there. So there's definitely a lot to that. I think too, having your support system, whether it's fellow lymphedema patients or just your friends and family who you can reach out to, even if they might not understand living with lymphedema, just being able to reach out and say like, hey, I'm having kind of a rough day. Can you send me a funny video, or can you, do it like something to kind of like not be afraid to reach out and ask for that kind of little nudge. Even if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. You can still ask for help without asking for help in a way, if that makes sense. But awesome. All right. Well, we did get a question in the chat already for Karen specifically. Oh, real quick, Adrian McKenzie just said they signed up for the YMCA today. Now they have to actually go. Yes. Well, at least it's New Year's coming up to around the corner, so that's a good time to get motivated. Susan says, for the holidays, I got a rebounder. It would be nice if it arrived by Christmas. Fingers crossed. That would be nice. Karen, we got a question for you in the chat, or in the Q&A box, from Sue about infrared blankets. She's heard of this one brand, Life Pro, which is advertising the blanket for lipedema, but she's wondering, is infrared good for us?
Well, I would say that light therapy in general is great. The difficulty about infrared blankets, especially if it's a sauna blanket, which many of them are, it can produce a high amount of heat. I own one and I love it and the temperature starts at 120 degrees and it goes up from there. And my house is pretty cold in the wintertime, so it keeps me toasty. But I would say that for lipedema, the difficulty is that if you have any swelling in addition to the lipedema, that could make the swelling worse. So any type of light therapy that produces heat, you need to be cautious about. In general, I would say there's a lot of detoxification benefits to sweating, whether it's with a infrared or exercising. I mean, sweating is a great way to remove toxins. So I'm not going to tell you to get it or not get it, just to weigh all of the different options and the pros and cons.
It's a good thing to consider. Thanks, Karen. We've got we're getting a lot of questions coming in all of a sudden. We got a great question from Robert, and this is a good one for the holidays too. He asked, can I still partake in a few alcoholic drinks during the holidays with lymphedema? Now, I have not drank in over 10 years, so I'm not the one to ask, but I know that there are effects that alcohol has on our swelling. So if anyone else on the panel would like to address that, Catherine, go ahead.
So I also don't drink. I find that when I have alcohol, it actually causes me to swell more. Alcohol tends to have a lot of carbs into the drink. And for me, those carbs react negatively towards my body. And it's not a pleasant feeling, so I typically don't do it.
And is that something with, and Karen, I'll need you to correct me, but does that have to do with vasodilation when you drink, or does that occur? I know that's with heat sometimes, your veins.
Yeah, I would be more concerned about the blood sugar effects as opposed to vasodilation. I think that, a lot of people get red faces when they drink, but I don't think it necessarily dilates the whole body. I'm more concerned about what Catherine said, is that it's like sugar on steroids. So, I'm not saying don't drink. I'm just saying, pace yourself. And if you're not used to drinking, maybe just, enjoy one drink and really enjoy it, sip it. If you're going to enjoy holiday treats, for goodness sake, really enjoy it.
I like that. Really enjoy it. That's what it's all about. Now we got another question. Adrian wants to know from Karen again, do you know anything about the biomat that can be used with or without the heat turned on and still has the negative ion therapy?
So I own a biomat also, and mine has red light therapy, it has heat, and it has PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic frequency. And Dr. Herbst was the one that turned me on to the PEMF. It produces a little bit of heat, and it's not well researched. I pulled every article that I could find on the internet. So it's one of those electrical modalities. And I think that it's a viable modality. It's one of those things where I know the biomats are really expensive. So all I can say is try it and see, but see if you can get something that has a return policy, because you just don't know if something's going to work for you or if you're going to have an adverse reaction. So if there's a way to try it out, or if there's a way to try it and return it, that's probably the best thing, because I'm not sure. My biomat, I can turn the heat off, but the red light and the PEMF still might produce a little mild heat. And it doesn't affect me. I don't know what it would do for you.
Thanks, Karen. Angela, we've got a question for you from Sue. Back to drinking, but the other kind of drinking. She wants to know, how could you drink? She wants tips on how to drink 1 gallon of water, as she's dehydrated. So how do you stay hydrated so easily?
Well, I buy cases of water, but what I found out for me, I can't stand to drink individual bottles of water. So I started buying gallons of water, just the gallon container. And then I pour it into a gallon-sized pitcher that's over on the counter. And then I just drink off of it all day long. I start drinking my water usually around 9:30 in the morning. and I just drink water all day. I've developed this new love for glass quart jars. I don't know where that comes from, but I drink like a quart at a time. And by the time I go to bed around 11 at night, all the water's gone. And sometimes I've even started on more water. And I haven't had any kind of adverse effect from it. It's been really good for me. So that's my little tip for how to get it in.
Awesome. Karen, go ahead.
Speaking of drinking, I had to look it up. So I just found something on the internet about alcohol and how it is a vasodilator initially, but then it can become a vasoconstrictor. And it does have effects on the blood pressure, lowering it and raising it depending on how many drinks you have. So just be aware of that.
Awesome.
Can I comment on the water situation?
Yeah.
So I also drink about a gallon and sometimes a little more of water a day. And one may go, how in the world does a teacher pull this off? Okay. Because I only have 4 minutes in between every period to be able to run to the bathroom if I need to. And I teach for 3 hours straight in a row, twice a day. So I actually have a bottle. I don't have it near me, otherwise I would show it to you. It actually has the timings on the bottle, and it's a 64-ounce bottle. So a gallon is 128 ounces. So I fill it twice. And so I literally will make sure that over the course of many, I try to drink the 64 ounces between my school day, which is between 6:30 and 1:30. And then when I get home, after I've probably gone to the bathroom about 10 times at this point, I will start another one, and it tells me, okay, at this hour I should have this many, at this hour I should have this much gone, and it actually gives you the lines so you can, and it's got a big fat straw, so the big fat straw helps you drink it faster. If you're not a fan of water, like unflavored water like me, I don't like the plain taste, but it forces me to be able to drink it, and it works. So you can get like a bottle like that on Amazon where it has like the hour by hour. And there is some funny sayings that like on the bottles too. I can't remember what some of them say, but they're kind of they kind of make me laugh.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I have like a couple of these Nalgene ones that are like 32 ounces, and I try and drink a couple of those a day. Fenton had a good trick. His trick to water intake is consuming it with his organic apple juice. His ratio is 8 ounces, 100% juice to 16 ounces of water. Add a lemon wedge for citrus rush. And then he also says herbal teas are awesome. It's all water, folks. So we love that. And then a good note that another attendee brought up in the chat, swinging back to alcohol, is that the reminder that alcohol is also a depressant. So if you're having issues of depression, it's counterproductive. And that's a really good point to keep in mind. So in addition to the alcohol being a depressant, and then if you're also triggering your swelling to worsen, that's going to also probably upset you or frustrate you. And then you're just going to be counterproductive, like they said. So that's a good reminder. More great tips. Susan McCoy, her trick is making the water ice cold, the only way she can drink water without getting nauseated. That's all awesome tips. Yes, Angela.
On occasion, I'll cut up cucumbers and put in the water. I try not to put like fruit in the water, but sometimes I'll put spinach in the water, just anything to make it colorful. I'll put water, and I'll make the water the night before, put it in the refrigerator and take it out the next day. But normally cucumbers, on occasion I put lettuce, and I just put anything in there.
Your Popeye water.
Yeah.
Karen, we've got a good question from Bev. Why does water help with lymphatic swelling?
Well, I think that what it does is it helps to flush the system. It flushes out the digestive tract, and most of our lymphatics are in the digestive tract. I think that being dehydrated has bad effects on the body, and can have effects on the blood circulation. And we want to keep our blood happy because that keeps the lymph happy. So those are my initial thoughts. I may come back with some more in a minute.
Karen, I would agree with you on the flushing of the body situation, because when I had my thoracic duct procedure, which is part of the central lymphatic system that Dr. Zhang had talked about last month, they told me to make sure I drank plenty of fluids afterwards, and that really did help to move things that were stuck. Basically, I kind of felt like it's almost like the water was kind of softening it up to allow it to move. If it was like in a sticky situation, like where it was sticky stuck, so that this way your fluid can actually move better.
Nice. Well, switch gears a little bit. We were talking about enjoying things over the holidays and that whole concept. We had a question last roundtable that we didn't get to. It is after hours here, at least on the East Coast. So someone had asked last month, no one ever talks about the benefits of orgasms. Don't the contractions help pump lymph? So we're kind of shifting gears into some after dark territory here. But Karen, could you talk a little bit, because pelvic floor and genital lymphedema is a really big issue that people don't really talk about. So how can that help with the lymphatics?
Well, I have had a number of patients tell me that when they have orgasms, that it helps to decongest their pelvic area. And I've even gotten to the point where I have recommended it to patients, whether they have a partner or by themselves. All those internal muscle contractions, we know that muscles are so important for moving lymph, both the external skeletal muscles as well as the internal muscles. So I say, love yourself for the holidays, love someone else for the holidays, and let that lymph flow.
And drink water. Love yourself and drink water. That's super interesting. And yeah, because again, it's not something that's really discussed often. So I think it's important that that's brought out. Oh, Fenton, sorry. He said, let me put my grandchild in the next room. Sorry, Fenton. Susan asked, can the gynecologist diagnose pelvic lymphedema? Who do you go to for that? Because my therapists have never brought it up or asked questions about that. So that's a really good question.
You know, genital lymphedema and pelvic lymphedema are pretty specialized areas. And in my CLT training, they hit on it, but they also hit on lots of different things. And I would say your best bet would be if you could find a lymphedema therapist who is also a pelvic floor specialist, because the pelvic floor specialists are looking at that entire area, the abdominal cavity, and all the way down to the hoo-ha. So really, I would say that your typical OBGYN may or may not know, but someone who has the dual training of pelvic floor and CLT, that would be a winning combo.
Awesome. Thank you for talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting lots more questions in the Q&A box and in the chat. Before we get to those, though, I want to try out the poll function here on Zoom. And I'm going to launch a poll asking what you would ask Lymphedema Santa for this year. So it's going to give you a spot where you can, I think, type in an answer if I did it correctly. So if you want to fill that out, if you feel so inclined, at the end of the roundtable, we can read through it and see what everybody's asking Lymphedema Santa for Lymphmas this year. So just a little fun thing we'll try. But in the meantime, we'll get back to the questions. Susan McCoy had asked back in the previous discussion about all of the blankets and the infrared, blanket sauna, it stimulates nerve endings in skin. So would that help the nerves to regenerate, or would it increase the dying of the skin neurons, referring to Derkum's disease? I'm deferring to Karen because I don't know what a lot of those things even are in that sentence. Go ahead, Karen.
Again, it really depends on whether there's a lot of swelling. And heat, a little bit of heat can be okay with swelling. Too much heat can kind of throw people over the edge. I have not seen any research about infrared sauna blankets specifically for nerve regeneration. So I don't know I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if those claims are valid or not. I do know that a lot of advertisers will say a lot of things to try to get business, and it may or may not work. So I don't know if it's going to be your magic bullet or not.
I think that's a good reminder for most things when it comes to managing our lymphedema. There is no magic bullet, so that's always good to keep that in mind. Catherine, go ahead.
I want to tap off of something that Karen just said about the false advertising, because there are so many products that you see through like Facebook ads and different things that say that they're for lymphedema and they're not. So please make sure before you get something that you consult with either your doctor or your lymphedema therapist prior to, because you don't want to do damage. You want to help yourself, not hurt yourself. So in order to make sure that you assure yourself of that, you need to make sure you consult with your medical providers on if a product is beneficial or not for you. Because, you know, unfortunately, they think there's a lot of companies out there that think that patients who have diseases are gullible and they will buy anything. So we need to kind of really set the standard that lymphedema patients are not that kind of population, and that we understand what we need and what we don't need.
Well, I think that's a really good point, especially because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot more in mainstream culture, like, oh, lymphatic massage, oh, you know, compression pumps for recovery. And we have to remember that those things are different than the medical versions of that. The MLD that we receive is different than the lymphatic drainage massage offered at a spa, you know, and so always keeping that in mind. And like Catherine said, talking to your doctor or your lymphedema therapist is super important before trying anything. Susan says, haha, I'm my own doctor. I'm having to teach my doctors. We know how that goes. Robert asked in the Q&A box, what about drinking water with electrolytes? Circling back to our water conversation.
Oh, I'll answer that one. So I actually have a nice little powder that's electrolytes, that it's called LMNT. I believe it's potassium, sodium, and magnesium, which I will add to my water, but I will add it to about 32 ounces of water, the one packet, and it will last the whole that 32 ounces of water, because I don't want to overburden myself with the electrolytes, but still want to make sure that my electrolytes are up, especially if I'm not feeling well, because those do really help to, you know, keep us going.
Electrolytes are really important in a lot of ways. And for those people out there who may have lymphedema, there's a condition called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is frequently found in lymphedema. Check out my talks on the Lymphopress website about mast cell, Ehlers-Danlos, and POTS, because I think that it's important to educate yourself. A lot of people have these conditions without even knowing them. But with POTS, what can happen is people can develop a rapid heart rate when they change postures from, say, laying down to sitting up. And it's very common to have dehydration, and these are people that need to drink that gallon of water. And electrolytes are very, very important in those cases. So I'm just going to mention that just because, you know, in this community, there may be people that have that condition and would benefit from electrolytes and plenty of water. The other nice thing about water is that it can fill your tummy and keep you from being as hungry and keep a handle on those cravings.
That's a good point. And we got a few more questions on the topic of electrolytes. Susan wants to know, are electrolytes in water really better than diluted OJ or juice? She had read that it's not. And then an anonymous attendee asked that some people use pink salt to add electrolytes. Is this appropriate for us? And is alkaline water better than others?
Okay, so first I want to talk about fruit juice. And if you do have fruit juice, it's better to really, really, really dilute it, because fruit juice is a concentrated form of sugar. And depending on the person, some people may have more blood sugar effects from that than others. So I would say that taking electrolytes that don't have calories, so either in tablet form or like Catherine, her powder, that would be preferable in my mind to fruit juice, just in terms of the effects it would have on the blood sugar. And then the second part of the question, could you read that again? Because I just lost
Sure.
it.
Sorry, that's all right. I went kind of fast. They said some people use pink salt to add electrolytes. Is this appropriate? And then is alkaline water better than others? Was their other question.
Yeah, well, alkaline water, there's a huge following. And again, I'm not sure how much science there is behind that. I would do your research on that. Same thing with pink salt. And people who have POTS actually have to consume salt because it helps to regulate blood pressure. But for the average person, especially people with swelling, I would be very wary about consuming salt in water. If you're going to try it, try the tiniest amount just to see. I noticed that Catherine had her hand up a minute ago. Did you have something to kind of tag on to this or something previous?
No, I clicked on the other question that's up there because that's a really
Yeah.
good question and I like that question.
Well,
And
we
I
can
have
move
an
on to
answer
that,
for that one
that
from
good
personal
question.
experience.
So the good question in question is by TRDB. They asked, speaking of products, are vibration plates and massage guns that are used for lipedema okay for lymphedema?
So that question is, there's lots of information about there about, whether it's good or not. And I've discussed it with my medical team. For me, I only have secondary lymphedema. I do not have lipedema. And I have both of them and I love them both. I use them at different times. My massage gun is great for when I have my fibrosis. It kind of helps to break down if I can't get in for an MLD session with my lymphedema therapist. It helps me to utilize that because it has different settings on it. And it will allow me to really kind of, target into an area with not having to like over strenuate my my own hands to do it. In terms of my vibration plate, I don't know how I live without one, to be honest. I call it my jiggler. That it's my jiggler. It's my body jiggler. So it basically, it allows, I actually use it before I use my lymphatic pump. And by doing 10 minutes of it before pumping, it kind of loosens everything up and jiggles everything around. And then I pump with my tribute underneath of my pump garment, and I have got massive softening of my leg. And I'm typically stopping my pump to run to the bathroom because the fluid is moving. So, but it really depends on each individual person whether it's going to work for you or not. But just know, vibration plates, you don't have to stand on them. You can sit on them. You can sit down in a chair and you can put your feet on them. You can lay on them. You can do a lot of different things. So I've laid on them for my abdomen. I've laid on the floor, put my leg on it, so it's doing the back of my leg. I've sat on it, so it does like my hip and butt area. The only place I haven't been able to figure out how to make it work is my central lymphatics in my neck, but I'm afraid to do that. So that's one that I would just couldn't figure out a way to do, but I figured out a way to do it every other body part, basically.
That's awesome. Fenton says, Catherine, I love your lymphedema pillow talk. What about our proverbial grandchildren in the room now, Fenton? Just kidding.
Well, you gotta remember something. Fenton knows me in person. I've known Fenton for a really long time. I'd probably say about 15 or 17 years.
Well, that kind of bounces off of something Susan asked. Do you prefer the vibration plate or the rebounder? And it sounds
I have one of those too.
Yeah. Well, you got everything. Go ahead.
I love my rebounder too. My mom was just here for Thanksgiving and she literally looked at me and went, "What is that underneath your TV?" I'm like, "Something that you're not going to see me use because you're afraid of it." So, but it truly, that's another one of my favorites. I had to pull it out and really kind of I have to put it together but it snaps together for me real easily. And I just bounce on it I'll probably I set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just bounce.
Awesome. Karen, your
Anything
hand
you
is
can do
raised.
to increase circulation. I want to just tag on to what Catherine said. I have a patient that I saw yesterday who has central lymphatic dysfunction, and she also has hypermobility and arthritis in her hands, and she has the hardest time doing self-massage. And I pulled out my wand vibrator yesterday and let her play with it, and she loved it. It was so helpful for her, and she was using it not only on her abdomen, but also on her legs, because it is easier to reach with the wand. It extends the reach. So that was really, really helpful. And I want to just mention that there are actually studies on handheld vibration for the use. This is mostly in the cases of breast cancer, but improved range of motion, decreased pain, improved scar tissue, and even reducing lymphedema. So that's really awesome. And then I have a lot of information on whole body vibration. There's a study where it does improve the MLD effects with lipedema. It also helps with dependent leg edema. So that's when you're sitting and your legs are down on the floor. Like Catherine said, putting your feet on a whole body vibration plate will really help your circulation. And one thing I want to say, though, is that there are some contraindications. And so if you're pregnant, if you have any kind of a deep vein thrombosis, any type of a blood clot or serious cardiovascular disease, problems with real high blood pressure or a recent heart attack, pacemaker, any kind of recent surgery, need to be cautious with joint implants. If you have an acute hernia, kidney disease, aortic aneurysm, disc problems, severe diabetes, recent infection, severe migraines, malignant tumor, organ failure, bowel or bladder incontinence. And one thing is there have been some instances where people have experienced detached retinas with whole body vibration. So I love the idea that you don't have to stand on the vibration plate and have it shake your whole body, that you can sit with your feet on the vibration plate. And I will often do that in the clinic. I will be doing MLD in a seated position with the patients having their feet on the vibration plate, and it's like turbo. It adds a lot. Another thing to be careful of with whole body vibration is that if you are standing, your body is doing more exercise because it's having to stabilize itself. And so I've actually had some patients have blood sugar events as a result of being on a vibration plate and not being used to that much exercise. So just like anything, if you're going to try it in a little dose and then build up, and just be aware of how your body responds.
That's good advice. I see Catherine grabbed a prop. Do you have a show
I
and
did
tell?
grab a prop. I'm
For
gonna
the
show and
class?
tell. So I know I saw somebody commented about Life Pro Fitness in terms of vibration plates. So when I got my my vibration plate, there was a special box inside of my vibration plate. It is a vibration ball. And I use it on my leg to help with certain areas. So like when a therapist is using like a ball to help with fibrosis, this one is the one I hand them, because it has 2 different settings on there, and it allows for vibration along with the pressure from their hand. And I want to say this ball might be $50, maybe, if it's that much. But sometimes Life Pro Fitness gives it away for free when you order something from them. And the one thing about Life Pro Fitness products I can say, and I don't work for them, so please know that, is they have a lifetime warranty. I actually had to use my lifetime warranty on my vibration plate, and they replaced my vibration plate 100% free. They did not, I had to send them back the one that was not working, but it literally was replaced and no questions asked. And it's lifetime. So if it breaks again, they'll send me a new one again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but this is my fun little random ball that I use when I need to. So it kind of sits on my shelf over there as needed. So
Oh. We got a question in the chat a little bit ago. Let me scroll up to find it. It was from Bev. Oh my gosh, I can't find it. It was something about.
I know which one, the surgery ones.
Yeah. Okay. She asked, are the 2 surgeries you spoke of last month considered cosmetic and therefore not covered by insurance?
I go for this one.
Yeah.
So there's actually 3 different surgeries that we talked about last month. One was the lymphovenous anastomosis, which is where they connect the lymphatic vessel. And Karen, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I think I got this. Where they connect a lymphatic vessel into a vein, a working lymphatic vessel into a nearby vein. That one is not considered cosmetic, but it is considered microsurgical. And depending on your insurance plan for lymphatic surgeries is where it's going to determine whether it's covered or not. Different plans have different criteria that you have to meet in order to be able to get those surgeries approved. I know my current plan, if you have obstructed lymphedema, that the lymphovenous anastomosis or lymphovenous bypass will not work because of the my obstructive lymphedema. There's also the lymphovenous the vascularized lymph node transfer, that one don't believe is also considered to be cosmetic because they're just transplanting lymph nodes or a part of your body, like your omentum, into a different part of your body and connecting it to your lymphatic system. The one that is could be considered cosmetic would be the liposuction. But if the doctor does it in the right way and words it in the way that it needs to be for your current insurance plan, then it potentially could be covered depending on the coverage that you have for your plan. But you have to really look up what the lymphatic coverage is for your insurance plan in order to decide whether or not it's covered and how to go about it. Did I get it right, Karen? I would hope I can get this right.
Well, that was a great answer. Thank you. I wanted to go into the poll results that you all asked Lymphedema Santa for. So I'm going to end the poll and hopefully it'll show me all of our results. Let's see. All right, we've got our results here. So I'm going to send this to the big man. So hopefully we can all get on his nice list and get these things. So we have relief from pain and what feels like bruises. And my Lympha friends continue to learn, persevere, and succeed. Love that. A cure for lymphedema or some sensational new development to help with the disease. Safe arrival of my new tribute night garment and that it fits with good nighttime compression to help me with the genital, truncal, buttocks, and upper thigh lymphedema, as a redo is not possible. Fingers crossed that comes. To have no more lymphedema. An easy transition to utilizing the benefits of the Lymphedema Treatment Act now that I am on Medicare. Amen. A night garment for my arm. A 2024 daily health journal and a gym membership to a local gym. Research and studies to better identify treatment options. Get a Michael Phelps swimming pool with a jacuzzi. Yeah. Lympha press and Lympha pants. Hey, reach out to me and I'll hook you up with a local representative if you haven't started the process. A residential setting clinic for patients here in the USA, full service treatment setting where the patient and family can attend for more intense treatments that would be affordable for all patients. Santa should get right on that one. A pressure device, fair priced custom compression garments, a chance to be a participant of the HEAL drug therapy trial in regards to Dr. Stanley Roxon's Stanford Health Study. This person's also waiting for their NIH DNA results for their official congenital diagnosis. Good luck to you. Something to cure their cellulitis. Someone said, I would love to have a doctor nearby in Georgia that at least knows how to treat lymphedema. I can now do my leg pumps once a day. I have to have help putting them on, so I pay for her, but she can only come once a day. I'm sorry to hear that. And then someone said a low flow air mattress. Well, he'll get right on that too. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our little Christmas list for Lymphy Santa. I loved all of those responses, and I hope we all get those and more in 2024. How about y'all on the panel? What's on your list for Lymphedema Santa? You had to sit on his lap and ask, hey, I need these compression garments, or I need this, I need that. What would you ask him? Angela, I'm putting you on the spot because I know you love it.
I'm going through my 3rd week of complete decongestive therapy, and I would like to see that. I would like to continue to experience, releasing what I don't need, and just continued success with that. This is my 3rd week, as I said, and I possibly may have 2 more weeks. So just to keep my patience with that, because it is a very structured and it's a little overwhelming. So just to keep my patience and to be appreciative that I'm able to get it done.
It'll all be worth it after those 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, it sounds like it already is. I mean, which is wonderful. Erin or Catherine?
I'll go. Honestly, right now, I would love to ask Lymphy Santa to make sure that we find more doctors who are willing to learn about the lymphatic system and really educate themselves about it. There are way too many doctors out there that have no idea what it is, let alone what the lymphatic system does. So my wish for Lymphy Santa is that we get a change in the medical school curriculum to really include something in regards to the lymphatic system. We heard Dr. Zhang say last month that she can't even remember a single lecture during her medical school training until she was in her residencies and fellowships, which she is a lymphedema specialist, guys. So if she didn't have it in her training, it's kind of scary, like, in all honesty. So I want that to really kind of come to fruition over the next couple, like, I know it can't happen overnight. So, I'll say next couple years, like really pushing for that to really happen. And in reality, I really feel like that they need to have it come from not only the books and the doctors who actually know it, but they need to hear it from patients. Because when somebody hears it from a patient and truly hears the story, it really sets it in, especially if the patient is sitting right in front of them.
Well, Catherine, to be one of Lymphy Santa's little elves, I want to share with you, and I guess the rest of the group too. I was asked to join the NIH's Commission on Lymphatic Diseases, and the kickoff meeting was yesterday. And there's a lot of talk about making that kind of change for medical education. That's one of the goals. So hopefully that will be something soon. We have to draft a report in the next 2 years to submit, so it might take some time, but that's one of the big goals for sure. So Lymphy Santa's working on it.
Awesome. I like the fact that Lymphy Santa's already working on this before Christmas.
I know. Angela, go ahead.
To piggyback off what Catherine said, I would ask Lymphy Santa for those people that need the help can actually find the doctors that do know in their areas, because I'm in Arizona now. I'm back and forth between Arizona and North Carolina, but I'm in Arizona, and I finally found a doctor that is just phenomenal. And she recommended me to a therapist to help me. So, and what I really like is that the 2 of them work together. They each know what's going on with my treatment. And I also found a Arizona Vascular, and they fit for garments and stockings, whatever. So really the 3 of them are working together. So I would ask Lymphy Santa that those of us that are afflicted with lymphedema or lipedema or both, can somehow come in contact with those people who actually do know what it's about and how to treat it.
Karen, what are you asking the big man?
Well, I love what everyone else is saying. I second that emotion and third it. But I think what I'd like to ask for is for my patients. I mean, so many of them are scared or angry. You know, they're going through a lot around their conditions. And I would love for people to be able to find that place where they're bigger than that. That who they are is bigger than their body or anything that's going on with their body. And just allow my patients to really recognize what magnificent beings they are and that they have so much power. And that despite the fact that there's a part of their body that or parts that are not functioning well, that's a piece of it. And it's not who they are, that who they really are is so much bigger.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I can't add anything more to what you all just said too. I mean, I think you covered it. He's got a big list to fulfill, but I think, yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what Karen said is to understand that we have lymphedema, but it doesn't have us. You know, we can manage it. We can keep it under control. We have people who can understand here in this community, or in person if we're fortunate enough to have support groups, or maybe you could start an in-person support group in your area. Robert said that he wants to add that he would definitely benefit if his area in Pennsylvania had a lymphedema support group or two. And there might be some, but you just have to kind of dig around and find them. Lymphatic Education and Research Network is a great place to start. I know they have state chapters you could look into, but yeah, I think just leaning on our community, we're so fortunate to have such an involved and engaged community that allows us to be supported and feel empowered living with this. So I'm just so grateful for that. And I hope everybody continues to foster that community for themselves, whether at the small scale or the large scale, whether you pop in on these roundtables live with us every second Tuesday of the month, or if you watch the replays on YouTube. I mean, as long as you're getting something from this, I mean, that's what counts. So, yeah, we're just so fortunate to be here together every month like this. So I appreciate all of you and our lovely ladies on the panel. I mean, they're the true real ones. But yeah, Fenton says, Santa's getting carrot sticks and celery this year instead of cookies and milk. He just may have some residual lymphedema issues too. Well, let's not go diagnosing Santa. We're not. But no, I love that. We've got a few minutes to go. We're getting a lot more questions that are popping up, but I take note of all of them. And when we join in the first Lymphedema Roundtable of 2024 in January, we'll make sure to address those. And make sure too that you sign up for, I'll put the Zoom link again in the chat, because the way that the Zoom's set up, it only had a set number of occurrences, so you might not have the next ones on your calendars. So I'm going to pop the link in the chat just so you guys have it.
As you do that, Alexa, can I go with something that was asked in the Q&A box?
Go for it.
Some anonymous attendee asked me if I would share the product name, the brand of the vibration plate and ball. So the vibration ball here is called, it's made by Life Pro, and it's called the Agility Mini. And my vibration plate that I have it's the all-in-one 4D Rumblux Plus, I believe it's called. I believe it's the Rumblux Plus, because the regular, there's two different versions. One actually has a very curved surface, and I have the one that's very flat. So I personally prefer the flat surface because I do have some balance issues because of me having a spinal fusion and a hip replacement, which, by the way, I was cleared from both of those doctors to be able to use my vibration plate just for the record here. But that's why, so that you have to be cautious on looking at the design of it. The 4D one, what it actually allows you to do is you can have all the different motions actually happening at once added to the effective gravity. So you have the lateral motion, the up and down motion, and the pulsating motion all happening at one time. And then having the focus of the gravity on you at the same time puts it into the 4D. But you can pick, I can choose one mode, 2 modes, or all 3. But I don't do any more than 10 minutes at a time. And that is the recommendation from the company, not to do more than 10 minutes. Like, I can't even set the timer on my vibration plate for more than 10 minutes. It won't let me, which I think is actually a really good feature. So that this way, you know, you don't overdo it. Because as Karen said, when you start to do these things, you really want to do it slowly. Like, do like a minute or 2 minutes at most initially for like a week, and slowly increase it in.
Awesome. Thank you for tackling that. All right, guys. I mean, we've got 4 minutes left, and like I said, I see a lot of great questions. We'll note them for the January one, which is January 9th, by the way, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just popped the link in the chat if you want to register ahead of time. Of course, as you all know, you don't have to join live, but if you register, you'll get it in your email inbox once we have it uploaded to YouTube. So it's handy to do that if you want. And as mentioned too, we're here every second Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a great webinar tomorrow with Karen at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put the link for that in the chat too real quick. But Karen, do you want to speak a little bit, the elevator pitch of what your webinar is tomorrow night?
Sure. Well, I did a little research project last year. I had a very small group of 5 women with lymphedema, and I wanted to look at the effects of 2 different types of treatments, the extracorporeal shockwave therapy and ultrasound cavitation. And so we did some treatments with these women. I did measurements before and after in terms of circumference and pain level and quality of life. And I also took some ultrasound readings before and after. And we saw some really amazing results from both modalities. And what's exciting to me about this is that extracorporeal shockwave therapy is very expensive. To buy a unit is about $30,000. But the ultrasound cavitation units are more accessible. And this showed that they had very similar effects. So the next study that I want to do, and Dr. Herbst and I are talking about doing this together, is looking specifically at cavitation and trying to come up with a protocol so that people can treat themselves at home. So I'm all about empowering people, and I think that research is very important to give evidence on what works. So that's what I'll be talking about tomorrow night.
Awesome. And for those, again, same thing like with the roundtables. If you register, you'll get the recording right to your inbox once we have it all edited and uploaded to YouTube, usually about a week turnaround time. But be sure to sign up so you don't miss it, because it's going to be great. And we just love our wise Karen and her wonderful research. It's just, she's one of our biggest advocates in the space, and we just are so grateful for her for it. So be sure to check that out. The link is in the chat. And yeah. All right, gang, we're 1 minute to 9. Leila said, great meeting tonight. I have to agree. It's been wonderful. I hope everybody here has a warm and wonderful holiday season and a really great new year. We look forward to seeing you next year. We hope you'll join us at the January, what did I say, the 9th that it was, I think, second Tuesday of the month. We want to hear all about your holidays and your plans for the new year. And we're just so grateful you joined us tonight. And we'll be sure to get that list off to the North Pole to Lymphedema Santa, so he gets working on all of that in the meantime. But thanks all for being here. Have a wonderful time, wonderful evening, and we'll see you next year. Bye, everybody. See ya.